But I want to say before I introduce him, I just recently took a trip with him to Mexico. And I have to tell you, and I've been around the world, as you know, and I've been a senator, and I've visited a lot of places, met with a lot of people. But we are represented in the global community by a man who has the respect of the world. A man whose vision is profound and caring and deep. A man who has our values, a man who has the capacity and the respect of not just this city, but this world. So today, we're all here, right? My team, Team Cedillo, Team Weezar. But today, as Angelinos, and we're all here, this leadership meeting, we're all here as members of Team Garcetti, right? Let's hear it for Team Garcetti. Because this is our city, this is our time, and this is our man, the great man, Garcetti.
Gracias, Gil. Thank you, Gil. And a very, very good evening. Muy buenas noches a todos. You know, listening to Gil, first of all, I think I should probably just leave the room after an introduction like that. But I really wanted to talk to you and hear from you. But it hit me coming back here, and many of you were here a few days after the election, when everybody said, go take a break, go rest. You spent 2 years of your life running for mayor. But I said, no, I need to go and listen. And we came here to Puente, who opened up their doors, and we need un aplauso por esta escuela. Por los líderes, los padres, los estudiantes, todos los miembros. Thank you to Puente for opening up your learning center again. And I wasn't sure after an election, when a city was tired, when they said there was no turnout, that people would come. And we packed this room then. And then as mayor, people see in Washington everything's broken. We want things like immigration reform and nobody seems to listen. We look for help with jobs. We see our dollars cut for housing, affordable housing. We see our money cut for block grants which help our poorest. And you know, President Obama said something in this year's State of the Union. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green, Communist, Socialist. I do care if you're fascist, we don't like those things. He said, if you're a mayor or a governor, don't wait for Washington, take action. And to me, that was a call to arms. Because I think we can't wait for anybody else. Sacramento's doing decent for us. Washington's not doing very well. But somos Los Angeles, we are Los Angeles. And what we do and what we bring, feel for a moment the power in this room. LA, baby, that's right. Feel the power in this room. Hay mucho poder aquí, ahora. We're not waiting for somebody else. We're not waiting for another place. We're not waiting for another time. We're here. And as you look around, how can you not be moved by the state of democracy in Los Angeles? Because we are the democracy. So that's the first point. Second point, thank you for welcoming me back to Boyle Heights. The emotional part when Gil was speaking, we all have roots here. Nuestros raíces estamos en este vecindario. My grandfather lived on Chicago. My great-grandfather lived on Boyle. I have 5 homes that I know that my family grew up here in Boyle Heights. And if my bisabuela, who came here, never really spoke English, was an immigrant from Mexico, from Chihuahua, this beautiful statuesque Tarahumara woman who came from Hidalgo del Parral, came here with nothing except a 1-year-old son in her hands, having lost her husband in the Mexican Revolution, came to this neighborhood. And our story began. This neighborhood embraced my mother's side of the family, my father's side of the family. They told me stories of what it was like when Mexicans couldn't swim in the pool on certain days. I grew up with those stories. We saw the homes. And to be back in Boyle Heights and to know that this is where my story starts, this is a place that I will continue to come back as mayor for strength, for inspiration, and for leadership. Because the leaders aren't just here, the leaders are here. Now I want to say something about tonight. Tonight is a snapshot. As somebody said in a comment that was passed up, this is a snapshot. We can only hear one thing each, but we take every single thing that's written and we compile that. And this is one of now 5 meetings that we've done that collectively more than, I think, 1,200 people have come out to. We went to Hollywood. We went to South LA. We went to the San Fernando Valley. We came here. What am I missing? Where's this?
The West Side.
West Side, thank you. Don't tell the West Side. Love you, Mike Bond and Paul Gretz. You got a great turnout. And every single place, people said, well, it's probably different what they say on the west side versus the east side, or South LA is different than the valley. It's not. You know the number one priority in the valley, what they voted for? More democracy in this town. They said, we need a system that makes me feel like I have power. That if I want lights in the park, if I want senior programs nearby me, if I want to make sure that there's jobs for my kid, if I want to turn around the sidewalks, I need to have a voice. And so this year's budget is different. I've been to many budget town halls for 12 years. I'm now the longest serving person at Los Angeles City Hall in elected office, which should scare you as much as it scares me. But that said, I've been to a lot of budgets where after it's written, you throw it out to the public, say, give us a comment or two, we pretend to listen, but it's all cooked. The whole point of this is to do it before we put the budget out, and to hold ourselves accountable. So if you go to lamayor.org today, you can see performance statistics that actually say how our departments are doing. It'll tell you some bad news when we get worse, and you'll hold us accountable because we'll actually have that out there. You'll also see the good news when we work on something together and it gets better. We won't just pretend it's getting better, we'll measure it. And tomorrow, we're going to unveil a new tool online at lamayor.org/open-budget. Thank you. Got a very good team. That will actually allow you to play with the budget and to see it each year. How much money are we spending on different things? How much do we spend on our salaries and our pensions? How much do we spend in this department versus that department? How much are our receipts going up? How's the economy doing versus what our costs are? So that you can feel that power and make those tough decisions because, look, all of you said, well, there was one quote, I forget who said it. Somebody said, this was a really tough decision to make. But welcome to our world. It's not yet a time in which the recession is gone. We feel that a year later because our receipts come in, remember, during a year. And so even though some things are getting better in some parts of the city, we still have difficult decisions to make. And what you prioritize informs the decisions that we will make. Now what I heard tonight, and we actually compiled some of the statistics already, overwhelmingly about 20% of people, first choice for the three major issues that face us was jobs and the economy. When I was sworn in, I said I was going to do two things. Rewrite City Hall, open up City Hall, make it work again, whether it's putting a table here in Boyle Heights for office hours and just listening to people like I did, or whether it's making sure that we demand that our general managers say what they're going to do and hold them accountable to that. We're going to rewrite City Hall. But the second piece was I said we're going to put the recession in the rearview mirror. We're going to jumpstart the economy. We're going to look to provide more jobs and opportunities for everybody here. And I especially want to thank the young people that are here tonight. Quiero dar mis gracias a los jóvenes. If you're under 30 years old, and I know there's some of the teenagers who are like, that's not right. If you're under 30 years old, stand up. Or if you're 30, you can stand too. Look at that. We've got folks who are working in the building trades, we've got parents, we've got students. Yeah, okay, we'll talk to you under 32. And I want to thank, I know it's not a gentlemanly thing to do this, but if you're 60 or over, stand up. Because I want to thank our seniors who are here as well tonight. This gives me great hope that we can do these things. Number two was education, almost tied with jobs and economy. And education isn't just youth education, it's adult education, it's senior programs, it's folks who are out of work being able to find a new skill to get back to work, which is why we're focused so much on that. Finding those key industries. Manufacturing still exists in Los Angeles, but guess what? Too many people grow up here aren't getting those jobs. We have high-wage jobs increasing in Los Angeles more quickly than low-wage jobs, but our poverty rate is up. Again, that's because we're not graduating young people with the skills to get those jobs. Some of you would have gone to a high school, you took shop class that would prepare you to go into a manufacturing job in aerospace maybe in the middle class. Those jobs may not exist in Los Angeles anymore, but guess what does exist? New digital technology companies, one every 40 hours here in Los Angeles, one of the best places in the world now. And if you graduate from high school knowing how to program computers, you can earn $70,000 the day you graduate without a college degree. So we've got to change our vocational education to make sure it's tracking with those opportunities. So when we come back and say, what are we going to do with the budget? We've got a lot more money because we've got a lot more people working. And that is the goal, I think, of what we're going to do. And then the last one, the third one, what we heard was housing. And everybody who feels this, raise your hand. Who feels the housing pinch right now? The rents that are rising, the inability if you're a young person to ever think about actually buying a home in the neighborhood you grew up in. That's been part of the core of this city, that there were opportunities to actually be able to have a home of your own, or affordable a house, an apartment that you could pay the rent. Not something where you're paying 50% of your income towards housing before you think about putting food on the table and sending your kids to college. So as we look at housing, we know that that is critical and that is important. So we hear these three things. But let me say a couple other things tonight as well. And then I have a bunch of thank yous of folks who made this happen too. When I heard the presentations tonight on economic development, on crime, on transportation, on education programs, on local jobs, on green space, on senior programs, on looking at youth opportunities, interactions with police, all of these things which we heard loud and clear, and which you spoke very powerfully and personally about tonight as we went to each group. When we look at each one of these, they fit into me four categories of what my focus is with the City Council. A safe city, which is the foundation of whether we can do anything else. A prosperous city, whether we have enough money in our pockets to actually have a good enough life for ourselves and our family. A livable city, which means good neighborhoods that have those resources so we don't have to go someplace else but can eat, shop, recreate in our own areas. And a well-run city, which is our job, to make sure that we have a city that you can be proud of. All of those are informed with the value that you embody here tonight, which is an engaged city. We can't become safer. Our police officers do a heroic job. It's true, the crime rate is down at the lowest level since 1949. But if you're the victim of crime, who cares? If you're a young person who feels you can't walk to school safely, who cares? We have to continue to go support our police officers, but invest in our youth programs. Somebody said we need 1%. There's Marlene. Where's Marlene? Marlene. She take off already? She got her selfie with me and she's out of here. Marlene said 1% for youth. Well, this summer, we're launching a 10,000 youth jobs program, which is the equivalent of 2% of the police budget. Because last year we turned away 10,000 young people who came to us in the city and said, I want to work. They were motivated to do so. They wanted to get ahead in the summer. And we said, sorry, we don't have any jobs. I've been for 5 months raising money. We already have $16 million raised. We're going to try to get to 20 for 10,000 young people to work this summer and the next summer and the summer after that so they can be ready for those jobs. But that only happens if we're engaged. So if you have a business that wants to say, I want a young person this summer, come talk to me and my staff. Or if you could take 5 or 10, or if you're connected with a business where you work, talk to the boss and say, we've got to get a young person in this summer from Boyle Heights, from South LA, from Pacoima, from Mar Vista, from some place where those opportunities aren't as strong. Now I see my friend Tony, who's a fellow veteran from the Navy. Tony Zapata, who served this country proudly. I've been proud to wear that uniform, but one thing I think we both probably learned in the Navy is when you have a big ship, it doesn't turn on a dime. We've got a $7 billion city. That we're changing the way we do business, we're changing the way we do budgeting, and I want to thank Rick Cole, my deputy mayor who presented to you, because we're trying to do something to listen first. I think he's out there. He's a former mayor, a city manager in multiple cities, and he could have probably gotten a higher paying, more prestigious job, but he decided to come into the city of Los Angeles because it was his dream to turn this city around. And together with his staff, and people like Patricia Alafon, who's your representative here on the east side, and have a few comments out there, we're going to make sure that you stay engaged, that this snapshot gives you many more opportunities to stay involved. And I want to be clear, the snapshot you gave us was not the most important part of the night. It's really critical we hear that. But what was better is the discussions you had with each other. Because one person can't turn the city around. 18 elected officials have a slightly better chance, but not much. 40,000 amazing committed city employees, and we have a tremendous city workforce, have a shot at making a dent. But 4 million people, all active and working together to make this a greener city, a more livable city, demanding accountability, going out there, being a part of Rec and Parks programs, being a part of our local schools, making sure that we hear from you. We are an unstoppable force together, marching towards that same vista of a safe, prosperous, livable, and well-run city. If we stay engaged, we will get the job done. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the folks who made this possible tonight. I mentioned Rick, Jose Huizar at Garcetti. I want to thank Sister Jenny Lechtenberg from Puente Learning Center, as I mentioned before, and Karen Castro, our COO. Laura Lechtenberg as well. Joe Diaz from the Boyle Heights Tech Center, who's provided all the audio visual for tonight. Ben Kaiser from the LAUSD School Board, Barbara Romero, our great Public Works Commissioner, Marta Segura, our Planning Commissioner, Maria Cabildo, our Planning Commissioner, Patricia Villaseñor, who's the Executive Director of your Human Relations Commission, and Edward Padilla, Translator and Community Advocate. There's many, many other people we could thank. Don't forget, if you live in Northeast LA, neighborhood council elections are April 26th. We interrupt this mayoral speech for a PSA. Thank you. And seriously, get out there and vote, because when people ask why aren't more people engaged, it's because it's not about once every 4 years, it's about every single day. So thank you for this. I feel empowered. I hope you feel the power that's in this room. We're going to take this back. I'm releasing my budget on April 10th. I'll be doing the State of the City address. And I can guarantee you what you have told us will be a part of that, and it'll be the work that the council has, and we couldn't do this without you. Muchísimas gracias. Let's build the city that we want to see. Adelante.